Well, I've been out hustling. We got some things to talk about today. We're going to have a couple videos today because it's fun, catching up to date, and a little bit refreshed. You can only talk so much about the election. Let's get to the election today on this video. It's we've been right on. If you look at what we've said in the Republican primary about Donald Trump from months and months ago, we took the position that people were not happy and that the man's bringing and brought a lot of attention, action, and a lot of interest in the Republican primary, and considered him a positive force in that way, and thought that he was going to keep on rocking. At the same time, we called for a brokered convention. Now they're calling it an open convention, but back then they were calling it the possibility of a broker convention. We thought there was a great possibility of a broker convention, and have been right on. I don't see him cleaning up in Wisconsin. I don't think he's going to go into the convention with enough votes to just walk. We've been pretty consistent with all this stuff, and it makes it so much interesting and so much fun. But the problem with the Democratic primary is that we're now looking at some of the violence. We called this 1968 about a month ago, and decided it was 68, not 64. And it looks like it's starting. We're nowhere near the level of violence we had then. The problem you've got is the violence seems to be centered around one campaign. It isn't the Kasich campaign. There's no violence there. It isn't the Cruz campaign. There is no violence there. But there's no violence at Hillary's campaign or at Bernie Sanders' campaign. All the violence seems to revolve around Donald Trump and his campaigning. You can't get away from it. Some of the stuff, the ZZ Top guy who threw the elbow, and then at the guy being taken out, and then when he was interviewed said he comes back, we're going to kill him. It makes sense. The video with his campaign manager jumping in and taking a hold of this reporter, and who really worked for a site that bends over backwards to really kiss Donald Trump's rear end, and then deny. And then they pulled her in. She put her bruises online. They wouldn't apologize. The video comes out. To me, the audio is even more damning when you have the Washington Post reporter there saying, "I saw all that," and she said maybe she was a little bit knocked off, but nobody could believe what happened. And all the Trump campaign is doing here is parsing and saying, "Well, she said she almost fell over," and look at the film. Well, let me tell you something. All those of you who are parsing that part of the violence. So let me throw on one more. Of course, now we find out a Trump supporter pepper sprayed a protester outside of a Trump campaign rally. That's where all the violence is. There's no violence anywhere else. Hopefully, none at all will happen, but yet. And then we see this guy throwing himself in front of this reporter, and all the Trump supporters sound like Trump. No, I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. Well, let me ask you something. Mr. What's his name, Lewandowski, whatever it is, who just got charged with battery. If that was Misha Tate or Ronda Rousey or Holly Holm, you'd be dead right now. And you wouldn't have touched any of them because they would have kicked your butt. But you jumped a reporter. You're really tough. And your boss encourages this type of violence. And to me, he has now turned from a positive in this election to a negative. And but there's no really way of stopping him right now. We don't think he's going to have enough to get into the convention with the majority. And then we'll see what happens at the convention. He's yelling now, "Hey, I have more votes than anybody." Well, the rules are the rules. You go in, you know what the rules are. And I don't care. I'm not a Republican, so I don't care if he bolts the party or not. And I don't care if they support him or not. It's going to be well-minded people who are with reason, who are thinking, who are really caring about the country. It's going to be doing some more of this voting. And as time goes on, especially in the general, if he wins, look, I respect all the people who vote for him, except, of course, the total radicals, the KKK, just like you have the far left. You can't talk about them. But most of the people who vote for him are good Americans who are really bummed and want to send a message to government, you're out of there. So many of them are like the Bernie Sanders people, the Bernie Sanders supporters. They just kind of look at it a little bit differently, but they're both out with the bums. Throw the bums out. So we used to say. So this is like great, but what Trump's doing is horrible. And when you think you have to turn to violence to win is when it makes you really wonder. So this convention is going to be a lot of fun, but it may turn into Chicago. I hope it doesn't. Chicago's 68. And I'm starting to wonder if these conventions in this election, the general isn't going to be the be all and end all, if it's just not going to get bigger and bigger. I mean, just think, if he goes around and he wins and he tries to put people out of their homes, or Cruz does, the 11 million of the illegal aliens, the illegal immigrants, there's going to be civil disobedience, and I would understand it. We do not want to get to a position where we got Kent State and Jackson State where we're shooting our own people. Mr. Trump, you got to stop this, and I know you're not. So the Republican Party, you're going to have to do what you got to do, and if he's your standard bearer, then you're going to have to live with it. It'll be like 64. It's going to take a lot of years to get back, but it ain't our problem. That's the party's problem. Democratic Party, they got their own issues. I think Hillary does. But you look at the Democratic Party, it's really a letdown. The super delegates, they call them super, they're insiders. They're the politicos. They're the politicians. They're the ones who make things happen because they control and don't want to lose control. And what does she get? 400 some odd votes of that? How outrageous is this? What does Bernie have? 20, 30? That's the only reason she's in this, Matt, is that she's winning and still really looks like she's going to tie it up. And then it's always been obvious how we feel about Hillary. We respect her, think she's really smart, would probably be a pretty good president. But look what's going on here. And she's got tromped last week. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Wisconsin. But people aren't happy. Throw out the bums. Throw out the bums. That's what you're hearing. That's what you're seeing. And my real concern about Hillary is what's going to happen if she's indicted. Now, look, the president said she's innocent, not guilty. Well, I'm happy to hear that, Mr. President. He does run the FBI, and the Justice Department, so, maybe he's called it months ago. The problem we've got here is I don't think it's the top secret issue. I think the issue is what the Clinton Foundation was doing vis-a-vis getting the money they were getting, and all the and then were those people getting contracts from the government, whether Hillary influenced it or not, it just wouldn't look good. And it comes back to what we said originally. Why are you even running? You're getting $250,000 a speech. Bill Clinton's getting $500,000 a speech. That's $750,000. Everybody loved you. Everybody loved the Clinton Foundation. You had your own plane. You got a grandchild, probably more coming. You got a great family. Everything is going great. And you just have to have power. So you put yourself into a position, Hillary, where you may get in trouble. I hope not. But the FBI and the Justice Department better make up their mind pretty quickly, because we can't have somebody running into the election and then we find out he or she has a problem, or she has a problem. Bernie Sanders is Bernie Sanders. He tells it like it is. He goes right on in there and he's hanging back. He's played it smart. I'm not going to talk about the emails. That way if something happens, he can just sit there and go, I didn't talk about the emails. Bernie, you're happening. He just doesn't, I don't think as of now, can really break into the minority areas. Democrats are like different groups. I think it seems like we're having a real issue where certain groups are coalescing around one candidate and certain groups are coalescing around the other. But I think the Democrats will come together in the end. But man, would that be crazy if we had a Bernie Elizabeth Warren ticket? Whew. I mean, this is like incredible. So keep watching. Wisconsin's Big Tuesday. There's a lot more to come. This thing is nowhere near over. We're still calling for the open convention of Republicans. Who knows the Democrats? So it looks like it's going to be Hillary. But if Bernie wins Wisconsin, things are going to really start getting topsy-turvy as the TV networks start really building Bernie up again. So keep watching. Keep loving it. Keep enjoying it. This is a crazy America. This is a crazy world. Peace.